Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And joining me right now is somebody that is a true hero. They have so much amazing cosplay on their page. And, I'm actually surprised that they're not cosplaying right now. There's one of my favorites, which is the guy right behind me over there, Azuka Midoriya Deku. But everybody does love Black Widow. And, rest in peace. I got to say rest in peace, Black Widow. But joining me today for the great turkey war that is coming up soon is Hannah Dove. Hannah, how are you doing today?
Hi, doing great. Thank you.
Hey, that is awesome to hear. Thank you so much for joining me up here on Who's That Cosplayer. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And as D always says, podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. So Hannah, the first question that I ask each and every guest up here is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. So tell everybody who Hannah Dove is.
Yeah, so basically I started cosplaying back when quarantine started, as I think many other people did. People were looking for a way to spend their time stuck inside. And I'd cosplayed twice before. I went twice as Rey to Fan Expo Dallas, one of my favorite conventions. But that was about it for me. But I really enjoyed doing that cosplay, and I'd always been interested in it. It had always been so fascinating to me. So when quarantine hit and there was kind of nothing better to do, I found myself downloading TikTok again, as I think many other people did. And I saw like, oh, wait a second, people are cosplaying all the time, like not just for conventions, they're doing it in their homes. And that's so cool. Maybe I can finally get into this thing that's always really interested me, because what else am I going to do locked inside? So that's how I really got started. I had my Rey cosplay. I had Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and I had Silk from Marvel. Those were kind of my three starters. And then once I started getting into anime, because quarantine was also something that it got me into anime. So then that's when I started with My Hero Academia, and I did my female Deku, did Uraraka, and just kind of spiraled from there.
Hey, I love that origin story. And it's so cool that, the pandemic, it made you want to get into cosplay and then also getting into anime as well. I feel like during the pandemic, a lot of us discovered hidden talents or quirks, as they say on My Hero Academia. And I think that it's cool that you got into doing both of those things, and to see where you are now, because it's like, this is something that I wanted to touch on, was that you were a guest judge at a New Wave Expo, and starting your cosplay journey in 2020, and then now we're in 2022, and you were a cosplay judge. Is that something that you ever imagined that you would be doing?
No, it's honestly really crazy. And cosplaying has been just a huge creative outlet for me. So I guess that's what I kind of intended to use it for, was as a creative outlet and a way to express my love for these characters and these fandoms. But it's just grown into something more than I could have ever imagined, with being a cosplay guest this past weekend, and also just the friends that I've made. I never expected to make so many friendships, but honestly, most of my best friends are people that I've met online through cosplay. So it's just been a really crazy journey that I'm just so grateful for, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah, and usually I always say that it's a bizarre adventure, because I think that that's what cosplay is, because it's like you can be whoever you want to be. And for you to had started in 2020 and like seeing the amazing characters that you've done, like Amy from Sonic, and Gwen, it's her Spider-Gwen cosplay, and then of course Sue from My Hero Academia, which is, I love Uraraka, but I love Sue more because it's just something about her. So I got to ask you, what are your top 3 favorite cosplays that you've done over the years?
Oh, I think I'd have to put Ahsoka in first, just because she was my dream cosplay for the longest time. And Ahsoka is my favorite character ever. So that was a dream come true. And I got to meet her voice actress while cosplaying her. And that was something that always been a dream of mine. So she's definitely number 1, even though she's a lot with the body paint, and she takes about 3 or 4 hours. But then second, I think would have to be Uraraka. She's just kind of my like good old reliable. I always feel pretty in her and she's always fun. And so I love doing her. And then third would maybe have to be, I think Shinobu.
Mm,
Shinobu is also kind of, I think, one of my more popular ones. And again, I always feel pretty in her, and she's so easy. Like, I love the makeup that I do for her. And in terms of like going to cons, especially, she's so comfortable. It's like wearing PJs. So that's
uh,
really nice. I do love Asui. She's kind of like there, like maybe fourth. She's just a little more uncomfortable.
I feel you.
The wig is a lot, the goggles are a lot, but I do love her. So yeah.
Hey, trust me, I totally understand. And I think that that's a good, top three with the honorable mention being Sue. And, one of the things about cosplaying, because I have my Deku cosplay and I rarely like do anything with the Deku cosplay because it's just so hard to get into because it's just like you have to put on the jumpsuit and the shoulder pads and the knee pads and all this stuff. Whereas with Jotaro, all I gotta do is just put on some pants and a shirt and a jacket and that's it. So
Right.
it's like I understand where you're coming from where you're saying it's just so comfortable to put these outfits on. So I want to piggyback and go back to Ahsoka because the Ahsoka series is coming out soon and
Yeah.
I just got to ask you, like, are you excited about it?
Oh, I'm so excited. And even tomorrow, Tales of the Jedi comes out, which is like the six like mini episodes, and some of them
Mm-hmm.
are focused on Ahsoka. And so I'm so excited to see her again in like her, animated form because I mean I love Rosario Dawson and the our live action Ahsoka. She's great, but I mean I'll always have a soft spot and special spot for, you know, the animated
Original.
Ahsoka, Ashley Eckstein, because that's who I grew up with. And
Yeah.
he's the one that I really look up to, both as a character and the actress. So I'm very excited to see her again tomorrow with Tales of the Jedi. But no, I'm so excited for the series and especially how they are seemingly going to be tying in Rebels with like Sabine and Hera, hopefully finding Ezra. I loved the Rebels series, so I'm very excited. It's just I could talk about Ahsoka all day, but I just
Hey,
love
hey, we got 3 hours. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I mean, I just love seeing how she's grown so much in popularity and in how much she means to people. You know, she kind of started off as this character that I don't think a whole lot of people knew because she was just kind of in Clone Wars, but now she's branched out into so many other, you know, parts of the Star Wars universe, and she's been one of the characters that I think so many people have really grown with because
Yeah.
we've seen her grow. She's been around, seeing her development. She's just, I don't know. I'm very attached to her. So
No, and I think that that's always cool when there's a character that you grew up with and you really appreciate that. I mean, like for me, it's Goku from Dragon Ball Z. I know people always joke about how he's the worst dad and whatnot, but being a kid and growing up and like seeing Goku's adventure from being a kid to an adult and just always wanted to be the hero and whatnot, like stuff like that, it mattered to me when I was a kid because it's like sometimes it's like you need to have that figure, whether it's in a video game or a TV show or a cartoon or anime, that it's like they kind of mold us into the people that we become in a way. So it's just like I think that that's really cool that Ahsoka, it's like she really means a lot to you, and I can't wait to see the new show. Like I've always been a fan of Rosario Dawson, and she's a huge nerd, and I always think it's cool when you get people that are nerds and they're gonna do the role justice because I thought that she killed it when she showed up on Mandalorian. I was like, yo, like
mhm.
this is awesome. Like she's doing a good job, and she had the dual sabers, and I was just like, yo, I cannot wait until her series starts, man. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So now I want to ask you, and this is one of my favorite questions, is like, what has been some of your favorite moments from going to cons? I know you started in 2020, but have you gone to a lot of cons over the years since you started cosplaying and the world has kind of started slowly opening back up?
Who's that cosplayer?
WMaincall.com.
Yeah, I think last year I only went to two cons. That was MegaCon and Holiday Matsuri. Both of those were awesome. This year I've really been getting back into it because it's, the world, like you were saying, has kind of opened up again. So gosh, I went to Fan Expo Dallas this year. So then that was really special because that was my return to that convention since pre-pandemic when I was in high school and did Ray. I hadn't been back to kind of my home con. I went to Comic Palooza for the first time. That was amazing. New Wave Expo, Celeb Fan Fest.
Nice.
I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't remember. But in terms of favorite moments, definitely kind of as I was saying earlier, going to Fan Expo Dallas as Ahsoka. That was my big debut. Ahsoka was my dream cosplay for the longest time, but I was just honestly scared to do her because it's a lot and it's both like doing it and like money. So, when I found out that Ashley Eckstein was going to be there and it was like my home convention, the first con I'd ever been to, I was like, okay, I have to do this. Like I have to finally put this together and I want to meet her as Ahsoka because I've actually met her a couple times before because I adore her. And so I met her like way back when Disney World did this thing called Star Wars Weekends. She was a guest out there. So I'd met her before when I was younger, but, yeah, so going to Fan Expo Dallas on that was the Friday of the con. I debuted Ahsoka. That was my first time wearing her, and I got to meet Ashley. And actually, I went to get in her line at her booth, and the lady there, the employee there, said that she was at capacity, and I was so
devastated. Oh my God.
I was like, oh my gosh. And the woman was like, are you going to be back tomorrow? And I was like, well, yes, but not like this, like I did all of this just to meet her today. And so she was like, well, come back, like at the end of the con, like, around like 8 or 9 when it closes, and I might be able to get you in. So I was like, okay. And so we're wandering around. I'm trying to tell myself like, it's okay, it's fine. And especially because Ashley is so kind. She's so kind with her time. She so many times in events will go overtime so that she can meet everyone. But I started walking and she was actually, funnily enough, I spotted her. I was like, oh my gosh, there she is. She was doing like a live show for this, I can't remember the name of like the brand now, but she was signing like Funko Pops and like trading cards and stuff for Ahsoka. And I saw her and I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley. And so I just kind of stood there and, she noticed me and, was like, oh my gosh, your cosplay is so great. Like, the Force is definitely with you. And I don't know, I just kind of stood there. I just kind of staked it out. I was like, maybe I can just snag a picture. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then so she ended up, she was done with her show and she was leaving and she spotted me again. And I kind of waved and I was kind of like, can I come over? And she was like, oh, yeah, I'll give you a hug. And I was like, oh my gosh, even better. So, just kind of ran over and, gave her a hug. And, she's so sweet to be real careful with the hug because of my headdress and body paint. Yeah. And she was like, you look amazing. And I told her, I was like, oh, I was going to get in your line, but they said you were at capacity. And again, her just being so sweet. Because she had to go to like her photo ops. Yeah. But she was like, oh, well, do you have a phone? Like I could take a picture with you real fast. And so my friends were there and I was like, like, please come here. So they took a picture for me. And I just love that picture so much. And before she left, I was just like, I just want to tell you, like how much this character means to me. And you're such an inspiration to me because, I don't have like celebrity role models, but except for you, like you're the exception. And she was just so sweet and seemed so touched. And so I'm glad that I got to tell her, how much she meant to me. That was just a total nerd moment. And then I was just kind of on cloud 9 for the rest of the day, getting to meet her. And everyone was so kind because, again, that was my first time debuting Ahsoka. I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure if I looked that good. But so many people at the convention complimented me and asked for pictures. And so very long story. Like I said, I can just kind of go.
It's cool. I mean, that is an awesome story. I mean, and that's why I love asking this question because everybody always has these amazing stories when it comes to con moments. And like I've heard a lot over the years since I've been doing Who's That Cosplayer. And that's the reason why I always love asking that question. So thank you for, giving a long answer and sharing that because it's always cool when you can actually meet your hero. Like you said, like that's your celebrity hero and you got a chance to meet her. And I think that's cool. So, since we're talking about Star Wars and whatnot, I got to ask you, which episode is your favorite?
I think I would have to say Force Awakens. I just really loved that. I know that like the sequel or the, sequel trilogies kind of get some flack, and like I understand the faults in them, but I don't know. The Force Awakens is just like, I don't know. I've always loved. I can watch a bunch of times, and it was just special to me because that was my first Star Wars movie, like in a theater. You know, like especially my dad introduced me to Star Wars. He got to see the original trilogy when he was a kid in theaters, and so that was kind of that moment for me. And like I still, when I think back on that memory, I see myself like in that theater with my dad and my mom and my brother. But it was just special, especially with my dad, because he introduced me to Star Wars. And seeing like the opening frame and just being there like, oh my gosh, I'm actually here in the theater for like a new Star Wars movie. Like, this is crazy. So that was just like a special moment for me, and just that, so that movie has become special to me too. But I mean, of course, Empire Strikes Back is amazing. And then I would probably say A New Hope, just because of like the nostalgia of like the adventure beginning, and it's always a fun watch.
Awesome. So, now I got to ask you, because I asked you your Star Wars moment, and I love interviewing My Hero Academia cosplayers, because it's like, My Hero Academia is in my top 5 animes of all time. So I got to ask you now, what is one of your favorite moments from the anime?
Good ones. Let's see. I mean, Deku's fight against Opal with Aerie is always going to be great, especially like him reaching for her. She falls in the music. That's the most beautiful.
Oh my God, did you cry?
So good. I don't remember if I cried, but I definitely was like very emotional. That was so great. I really loved the episode and like kind of arc with Stain, specifically with Ida. I thought like that fight in the alleyway with Ida and Todoroki and Deku against Stain, I thought that was really great. Those are kind of like the top 2 moments that come to mind for me, for sure.
Yeah, those are definitely cool moments. I mean, usually when I'm doing cardio at the gym and I put on My Hero Academia, it's either Deku saving Aerie while fighting Overhaul, the fight with Stain where it's Deku, Ida, and Todoroki, because like that final punch and kick was awesome. And then of course Deku fighting against Muscular, because your boy Koda, like he didn't like heroes and whatnot, and then Deku, like it was just a sweet moment. So those, I mean, like I love My Hero Academia. Like I said, Deku, he watches over me. It's another Deku up there. I got 2 Dekus watching over me, So I want to ask you now, what is some advice that you would give to anybody that would like to get into cosplaying?
I think a lot of people say this, but just do it. Like it can be scary and you might be nervous about it, but you just kind of have to throw yourself into it and not care what other people think. I maybe this is just my experience, but I feel like in general, people are becoming a little more accepting of cosplayers, like it's, instead of just being bullied all the time, because I think it's kind of becoming a little more mainstream. But which that has its benefits, but you just kind of have to throw yourself into it, not care, and everyone starts somewhere.
Exactly.
Like you may not think that your cosplay is that good, but everyone starts somewhere. I look back on my old cosplays and it's really bad, but everyone starts somewhere, and you grow and you get better every time. And at the end of the day, you're just here to have fun. If you like how you look, if you like what you're doing, then that's really all that matters. But I think that's what I'd say.
Yeah, hey, you level up.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called, leveling up with Benjamin Banks, because everybody's always leveling up. So exactly. One final question, because like I said, the Great Turkey War is approaching us, and everybody has to prepare for it. So I got to know, what is your favorite dish that you like to have on Thanksgiving?
I love green bean casserole. I really do. Or I guess it's casserole. I don't know. I don't know if I was... I don't know if that's a thing. I've always said casserole, and no one corrected me until like mom was like, it's like casserole, right? Which like I guess I knew that, but I don't know. That sounds weird to say at this point.
I didn't know that. I thought you said it right. I mean, so now I just learned something today.
I've never heard someone say casserole, so I call it casserole. But anyways, I love creamy casserole. That's my favorite. Like as long as that's on the table, I don't really care about anything else.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's so good, man. It's crazy because I feel like there are certain dishes that you have only around Thanksgiving or Christmas. Like you don't like that's like when my mom would make Sunday dinner and whatnot. Like she never made green bean casserole, but you know, Thanksgiving comes around, it's like she makes it. Same thing with stuffing and cranberry sauce. It's certain foods that you only eat during the Great Turkey War and then the Great Gingerbread War. And yeah, so now, you know, we're here at the end of the interview. And Hannah, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me up here on Who's That Cosplayer. You are an amazing guest. Yeah, you're welcome. So before I let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
Yeah, so you can find me at _Hannah Dove _, and that's Hannah with an H at the end, on Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. Hey, y'all make sure that y'all go and follow Hannah on all of her social media accounts. Support her. Tell her that you watched this interview and now you want some green bean casserole as well. You know where you can find me, your hero Benjamin Banks at King Benji _Banks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. So make sure that you prepare yourself for the Great Turkey War. Stay safe. Check out our podcast where we have brand new episodes every Tuesday. The link is down below in the description, and then the video is up here on YouTube on Friday. Keep that pinky up. Stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.